My name is Greg Carver. I'm passionate about optimal aging and love showing people how to build healthy, physically capable bodies through the practice of movement, exercise, and lifestyle. For the past 15 years, I've been traveling to Ikaria, a small Greek island in the eastern Aegean where local villagers are famous for their longevity. Now, I'm leading a small group of people who are determined to reawaken their natural fitness abilities as they experience a physically active holiday in traditional Greece. Come follow our journey as we explore age-old traditions and forgotten longevity secrets. Far off the tourist treadmill, we'll hike over mountainous trails, train under the hot sun, and participate in local festivals and cultural traditions. Perhaps even more importantly, we'll discover why locals here are so robust and are able to lead such long and active lives. It's our first full day in Greece, and we're setting off on a day trip around the southern coast of Attica. But it's also a time to loosen up. Some basic mobility was a solution for stiff joints, especially after a long flight and bus ride. These dynamic joint rotations are often neglected, but are so important for overall health and wellness, as the practice can improve a joint's range of motion, promote the flow of synovial fluid, and even reduce injury. Joint mobility tends to be active, not passive, as a joint has to move through its entire range of motion under its own power. So starting with the neck, we work down the body, focusing on shoulders, elbows, wrists, the thoracic and lumbar spine, hips, knees, and even ankles. Moving each joint through a series of 10 or so rotations takes so little time, but it's extremely valuable in terms of keeping your body supple and your joints feeling more youthful. So if you want to stay active as you age, and if you want to do it pain-free, you're going to want to work on your joint mobility daily. Our first big sightseeing stop was the plain of Marathon, where the historical battle between the Athenians and the Persians took place in 490 BC. Now, nestled among a quiet olive grove, you can still see the mounds or vaulted tombs which were raised in honor of the Athenian soldiers who fell in battle. Legend tells us that an Athenian soldier named Philippides ran all the way from the Marathon battlefield to Athens in order to spread the news of the victory against the Persians. He arrived at the Athenian market, shouted, "We have won!" and subsequently collapsed and died. Or so the legend tells us. Regardless, in honor of that battle, the marathon run was performed at the very first modern Olympic Games in 1896 and has been run in every game since. If you like challenges, you can still run that classical marathon today along the very same route that Philippides took. It covers just over 42 kilometers.
You can see the whole scene, okay, as it was. So that place became the battlefield between the Greeks and the Persians. I remind you that this battle was one part of the whole Persian wars, as we say, okay? I remind you that at the beginning of the 5th century BC, we had that wars between the Greeks and the Persians. I remind you that the Persians had a huge army, of course, and the Athenians had to come here in order to protect their city. So this is one of this is a monument, okay? It is not an ancient one, it is a modern one for all the Greek soldiers who died here, of course, especially the Athenians and the 1,000 from Plataeus, from another place. They had to gather here in order to defeat the Persians. As you can see, they had a very light outfit, okay? Especially in comparison with the outfit of the Persians, that was very strong, okay, very heavy, very rich. And that says that the Athenians died here because they tried to, of course, to protect the Greek land against the Persians, who had a very heavy and rich outfit, armor. For example, in front of the hill of Acropolis, in front of Propylaea, which is the main entrance for the whole hill, there is a very small temple dedicated to Athena, Nike. Do you know that? Okay, Athena, excuse me, I have you behind.
No, it's okay.
Athena, the goddess, was worshipped in Athens with different nicknames. And her first one was Athena Nike. Do you know that this is a Greek word?
Oh.
Do you know the meaning? Victory. The Greeks had a personification of victory. They had statues of victories, especially after the victory against their enemies. All of those statues had 2 wings, because the Greeks believed that victory could fly from a city to another. You cannot have victory forever. Okay, but the only wingless statue of Nike was inside that very small temple on the hill of Acropolis, because the Athenians wanted victory to stay here forever. That's why they cut the wings. That is the only wingless statue there was in Athens. And it was in that very small temple. Although it was very small, it was at the best location. It could be seen from different places around the hill of Acropolis. So that became the main message from the Athenians to the enemies, that here we have the city of victory. Be careful. It was a warning. The very first Olympics were in the 8th century BC. Okay? And they didn't have marathon race back then.
Okay.
We established marathon race in 1896. It was after so many years, as an honor to him. And as a symbol of the whole Greek antiquity, of course.
The modern Olympic Games from 1896. The winner was a Greek, Spiros Louis was his name, but he wasn't an athlete. His job was to carry water. That's why he was very strong. He just walked this original route to protest for the political situation here in Greece. And they stopped him, but he tried again in Thessaloniki, and they killed him.
After exploring Marathon, we're headed to southern Attica to see the Temple of Artemis at Vavrona and the even more famous Temple of Poseidon at Cape Sunion. Lunch at a seaside fish taverna replenished us just enough to climb the large hill where the temple now sits. For a temple dedicated to the god of the sea, it couldn't be situated in a more appropriate spot. This would be the last glimpse of civilization ancient sailors would have seen as they left Athens for more southern waters. The temple was built in 440 BC by Pericles and is the most visited archaeological site in Greece outside the city of Athens. Late in the day, we followed the scenic coastal road all the way back to Athens. It's not hard to feel amazed at the magic of this great city. Modern cafes sit next to ancient ruins in a mix of new and old, and if you step beyond the souvenir shops and into the real city, you'll uncover some of its hidden secrets.